Hi, it's Steve. Today we'd like to show you how to change the convection motor on your range. It's a really easy repair. Let me show you how we do it. Now before we begin this repair, the first thing we'll need to do is to disconnect power to the range. So either pull it away from the cabinets far enough that you can unplug it, or locate the electrical panel and turn off the appropriate breaker, or remove the appropriate fuses. And once we've done that, we will need access to the back of the range, so you'll need to pull it out far enough that you can remove the back panel. Now to do this repair, we'll need to remove the racks from the lower oven. Just take them out completely. Then we'll remove the cover that surrounds that convection motor and remove the fan blade. Once we've done that, we'll go to the back of the range and we can remove the motor from there. So with the racks removed, we have access to these 4 mounting screws for that back plate. These are 1/4-inch hex head screws. And be sure to support that panel as you remove the last screw. Now our next step will be to remove the fan blade from the motor shaft. So using either a 1/2-inch or a 13mm socket or wrench, we'll remove that retaining nut in the center. Now it is a left-hand thread, so we're going to turn it clockwise to loosen it, and we'll have to hold the fan blade from turning at the same time. You may also find a small spacer washer underneath that retaining nut. So simply pull the fan blade off and inspect the center hub on that fan blade just to make sure that that D-shaped hole is not rounded out. If it is, you'll need to replace the fan blade as well. Now next we'll go to the back of the range, we'll remove the back panel and then take the convection fan motor out and replace it with a new one. Now that we've disconnected the power and we have access to the back of the range, our next step will be to remove this large back panel. Typically there will be some screws along the sides, perhaps across the top, and normally you'll find one in the very bottom. So we'll begin by removing the one on the bottom. They're typically a 1/4-inch hex head screw. Then we'll remove the ones along the sides. Now before we remove the last screw across the top, we'll also need to remove the screw that connects the ground wire. And take note that it has a different type of thread on it. Just push that through the slotted opening, then remove the last screw and tilt the panel forward. So be sure to support that back panel as you remove the last screw, and we'll pull it away at the top. Now with the back panel removed, we'll locate the wire harness connector for the convection fan motor. We'll release the 2 locking tabs and separate the harness. Then we simply need to remove the 3 mounting screws for the motor. Again, these are 1/4-inch hex head screws. And support that motor as you remove the last screw. And pull it out through the opening. Now we'll remove that little felt cushion. We'll slide that over the shaft on the new motor. And then we just need to make sure that when we install that new motor that the center leg is on the top. We'll reinstall those retaining screws. We won't tighten any of them until we have all 3 in place. We'll tighten those securely. We'll reconnect the wire harness, make sure the locking tabs engage. And then next we'll put the back panel on. Now once all 3 of those tabs are engaged, we'll just tilt the panel to an almost upright position. Then we'll fit that ground wire through that slotted opening. And now we'll push the panel into place and attach it with a single screw at the top. Be sure to attach the ground wire and use the appropriate screw for that. Then we'll install the single screw at the very bottom. And then just continue to put the ones on the side. Now, once we've tightened all the screws on that back panel, we're ready to line the range up and push it back into the cabinets. So next, we'll make sure that we line up the fan blade on the motor shaft, keeping in mind that there is a flat side on that motor shaft that will correspond with the flat side of the opening in that fan blade. Be sure to put the washer back in place. And then we'll install the retaining nut. Again, because it's a left-hand thread, we're actually going to turn it counterclockwise to tighten it. So hold the blade from turning as you tighten that nut, and then we're ready to put the cover back in place. Now we'll tighten all 4 of these screws securely. Then we're ready to put the oven racks back in. And then we can close the oven up. We're now ready to push the range back into place, reconnect the power, and your repair is complete.